Welcome back to the Grapevine. We are in the studio. We on a good, nice, clean studio here in the Grapevine, the Truth Radio 1017 studios. This is we're gonna have a really good segment today, and we're gonna pick some grapes too. So I'm gonna get right to it because we don't got a lot of time, and I wish we had a lot of time. Like at least 5-6 hours. We ain't got that much time because everybody needs to go to sleep. But welcome to The Truth, the award-winning 1017 The Truth Radio. And before we begin, today's going to be a different type of show. And I want you all to sit up for this because we got a lot to talk about on this show in this short amount of time. We're going to talk about what's broken in this city. Today, I got somebody in this building that doesn't just talk about it, but she is about it. 15 years addiction, 11 plus years sober. And instead of just quiet healing and moving on with her life, she built Simone's house, 3 sober living homes, a behavioral health clinic. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And a harm reduction agency as well. And that number could always go up because there's need in our city. There's need in our communities. There's also need in the state, the country, internationally. There's need everywhere for that. In particular, Black residents are dying at an alarming rate. So it's double the rate of white residents. Absolutely. What we're seeing is that although there is a decline in drug overdose deaths, it doesn't hold true with our Black and brown communities. There's still a huge disparity of overdose deaths within our communities.
So we have to formally introduce my guest, we have Tahira, Mollick, and Byron. What's your last name? Thompson. And I'm happy. I'm excited that we're doing this interview because accidents, this is not an accident. This is something that has been, you've been raised to do this.
In essence, I would believe so, because I come from a very strong family of bringing community involvement. That has always been the background of my family. First off, I'd like to thank you, Manon, for inviting me to come to the Grapevine and to be able to spread some awareness to the world of substance use, recovery, harm reduction, and fitness. I invited Byron Thompson on because so we do harm reduction, we do sober living, and we do behavioral health. But when you come into recovery, you have to learn yourself again. You have to find out what you like and what you don't like. You are essentially a new person, okay? And then you also have to learn how to relive life soberly. So the family events, concerts, sports events, you probably did it inebriated. And that's what made it so fun. So you thought. But you have to learn how to do those things in a sober frame of mind. In the Phoenix, Milwaukee, Byron Thompson, that is what they teach. That is what they promote. And so I'll hand it over to Byron so he can give you a little background about what the Phoenix, Milwaukee does.
Tell me.
Thank you for having me, Manon.
And this is a conversation, so hey, man, look.
Okay. Well, really, it's an honor to be on the show and to talk about this and to, be talking about it with a great partner of the Phoenix, which is Simone's house in Tahira. I mean, we're like, just as she said, she brings the people in, shelters them, detoxes, gets the drugs and stuff out of their system.
Right.
And we work hand in hand because, once they get that, once they get, a roof over their head and, Friday comes around and paycheck comes around and life comes around, then that's where we come in. What am I going to do on Friday night? How am I going to you know what I mean? As a person myself in long-term recovery, I thought life was over 25 years ago when I wasn't going to be able to get a check, go to the bar, play some hoop, smoke some weed. All that stuff was just programmed into me. And I was like, what am I going to do?
You said 25 years.
25 years, yeah. September 13th will be 26 years of sobriety right here in Milwaukee. And I got sober right where I got high on Chambers and Holton. and I ended up just making a decision to get sober and do it right here in Milwaukee. So I'm definitely talking about something I know about and finding something, everything must change when you get into this lifestyle. Everything must change. Your friends, your associates, where you go, what you do, but it also helps you rediscover some of the loves that you had. I forgot when I was out there using that I was also kind of a pretty good basketball player. Good, I like to, I'm still social, still fun, but I need to be around like-minded people that's on the way positive. And I think that's what the Phoenix does. We provide, an alternative to the partying lifestyle, and we do it, the Bucks game, the Brewers game. We take people to their first Bucks game, their first Brewer game, their first sober tailgate. We make that experience for people, and we do it for free.
Tell me about the sober conscious, sober living movement that you all are spearheading, because I've heard about it and I do it because I'm sober, but you first started hearing about it in maybe about 6 years ago, ultimately on a national scale from me. That's from my perspective, right? But I'm sure it's been there forever. But in Milwaukee, you all are at the spear tip of this entire sober conscious, sober living movement. Tell me how did that get started?
Well, I can speak from my perspective, Manon. I've been in recovery for 14 years now from opioids, and my motto has always been, and I know, Manon, you've seen me in addiction. You saw me through that phase. And I want everyone to always know I'm going to recover as loudly as I was when I was in addiction, because I need people to understand that recovery is possible. For me, when I was ready to recover, I didn't know where I could go to begin that process. And ultimately, it led me into incarceration. And that's where I became sober. See, I already had the mindset that I wanted to become sober. I just didn't know how to do it. And unfortunately, jail provided that space for me, or fortunately it did, because had that not happened, I may not be sitting before you today as the founder of Simone's house. Once you come into sobriety, like Byron said, you have to change. It's that trifecta area: your mind, body, and spirit. They all go hand in hand. You have to change that mindset. You have to learn to love your body and yourself again. You have to change and grow within your own spirituality, knowing that something greater than yourself saved you.
Yeah.
And knowing that you have the power to go back out there to let people know that they also have the power to change their life if that's what they want to do. But once you change your life, It doesn't mean that now that you come into sobriety, you have to be boring.
Mm-hmm.
If you know me, I love to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I love fun.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was introduced to the Phoenix,
Yeah.
it was a no-brainer for me. You know, it's because it's like, I love music.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the first experience for me was Soberfest. Now, Soberfest is going into its 6th year.
Yeah.
And I've been around. This is going on my 3rd year of Soberfest.
Yeah.
And Soberfest is the largest sober concert here in Milwaukee County.
Wow.
I venture to say Wisconsin. I venture to say
Midwest.
Wisconsin.
In the
Yes.
Midwest.
Midwest.
Yeah.
Let's get the Midwest.
And what Soberfest is, it's all of the recovery community coming together
Yeah.
at the Pierre Marquette Park,
Mm-hmm.
listening to some great music,
Yeah.
eating some great food,
Yep.
and just networking and having fun.
How and we have a few seconds before we hit our first break, but how important is instant gratification in this whole scheme of things? Because having an instant hit can change your life in many different forms. Instant, you can shoot a basketball, boom, and that's that instant bang, that hit, and then you have an instant high,
Yeah.
which could bring you up and then way back down.
Yes.
And then you kind of want to go back up again.
Yes.
How important is it to work through those barriers of instant gratification? When we come back,
I wanted to go there.
We can go there. When we come back,
Awesome. Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
welcome back to the Grapevine. I was about to say something real poetic.
Right, poetry.
Right. Yeah, this is my poetry now. Welcome back to the Grapevine. I'm your host, Manon Sabir, and we are about to pick some more grapes with Tahira Mollick and Byron Thompson. Tahira Mollick is the founder of Samad's House, and Byron Thompson is also the founder of, am I right?
No, I'm actually senior manager.
Senior manager.
Yeah, with the Phoenix.
Of the Phoenix. And we're talking sober living. And I wanted to ask you a question, Tier, and this is for knowledge for the folks that are around us. Your parents were married for how long?
55 years.
I have to mention this because
55 years. I don't think they make marriages like that anymore.
55.
55. Did you know that?
I didn't know.
It would be
55.
such a blessing to
And I'm
find your
47.
soulmate.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know how rare that is?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we as individuals actually give up
Yeah.
too easily on our relationships.
Yeah.
We don't work through the tough stuff.
Yeah. It builds muscle.
Mm-hmm.
It builds power, muscle, finesse. Like it builds those attributes
Mm-hmm.
within the marriage. What did you learn? And you probably answered this, but going through that period of time, and even you, how long were your parents married?
Man. Over 50 years, for sure.
What did you both learn? This is a dual question. When looking at their prosperity and struggles and also triumphs up to death, right? What did you learn moving through your addictions, and you looked at your parents like, there's something there, right? What was there that kept you? What was there in their relationship that kept you going?
For me, first off, compromise is essential in any relationship.
Mhm.
You know, there's going to be a give and there's going to be a take. My mom was always that loving, nurturing, listening ear that you could tell her anything and she will help you problem solve through that. My dad, I was raised in a very strict household.
Right.
I
see listening.
That makes two of us.
There's for me, and this may be why it's so hard for me to maintain a relationship. There are direct roles I was raised in that a man does and a woman does, right?
Right now, I'm telling y'all, she ain't looking right now. I'm just saying, she's just saying this. All right, you have to. There's a process. It's a process.
This is just my background and my upbringing.
Right.
Not saying it whether it's right or it's wrong, but this is how I was raised.
Yeah.
And even though I felt that my dad was very, very strong, I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Anybody who was raised around us, I couldn't sit on the porch. I was the first girl. It was like, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no. No.
You're not gonna say the block, but yeah.
They're gonna say like, oh no, you are not gonna talk to my child. You are not talking to my daughter. So I couldn't get off the porch. No, I couldn't. And as an adult, I understand it.
Yeah.
As an adult, I now understand the values and the beliefs that my parents instilled in me, and those were the roots that put me up out of addiction.
Yeah, they were right all along, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna
That's
say
what we
this.
found out.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna say this. Even through my father being very strict, he's always been my Superman.
Oh yeah.
He is the one man
Yeah.
I know I can call at any point in time of my life.
Yeah.
And he's going to show up.
Yeah.
And if he says something, he means it.
And it might not be the way you like it. He might not handle it the way you like it. I thought it was gonna turn out to be this whole rosy, picturesque scene. Nah, he might make it a little ugly. I mean, or it might not be ugly. It might be real rosy. But it's not the way you put it. It's the way he connected with God in order to make sure that things happen that way.
Yeah, I heard all my life I was hard-headed.
You heard that too?
Come on, man. My dad was a law enforcement officer. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you couldn't do nothing. I mean, he didn't believe not one word because he worked with,
Guys who lied all the time.
Guys who lied all the time. So I'm 6 years old. He got a light bulb over my head asking me questions. No, it didn't happen like that. That ain't the way it happened.
He trained you young.
Interrogations began early. But I would say that what I learned from my parents was that things that are glorified, things that I watched on TV and at the movies, the flashiness and stuff like that I was super drawn to. The guys in the neighborhood who had the this and the that. You know, I mean, my parents' kind of consistency was never celebrated. I never saw that at the theater. Getting up, going to work every day, coming home, staying with your family, taking care of your. I never. All the people that I was seeing that looked like us on the screens when I was growing up was hustling and doing and I didn't even need to do that, but I wanted to do that. I mean, they were bringing that home to us, but we was wanting to, struggle. You know what I mean? Because that was more exciting, and consistency is something that I didn't get until I got into recovery. Like, hey, I gotta do this every day. This is not just 30 days. This is my whole lifestyle. So don't rush because it's a lifetime. I got to do this every single day.
And that brings me to like, what did your family have to relearn about trusting you again? Like, was there a moment where you weren't sure that that the trust wouldn't come back?
It took a lot of work. It took a lot of work because I did a lot of questionable things and things that I was raised to not do. Right. Yeah. And for me, it wasn't just me having my parents relearn me or be able to trust me again. That was huge, right? But also my siblings, right? But then also my community. Because before I fell into addiction, I worked in a community.
Yeah.
and I did questionable things as a leader in the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was major for me to not only regain the trust of my family, but also the trust of the community. And that's part of the reason why I go so hard,
Mm-hmm.
because I need the community to understand that I understand the depths of what I did,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm willing to reinvest in the community that I once tore down.
Yeah.
I would say that, you talk about instant gratification. It doesn't come, that trust doesn't come back instantly. And I remember a time when I was up here in Milwaukee. I'm originally from Chicago. That I went back home and I was dressed real nice. I was, I don't know how much clean time I had, but I was really walking in, kind of, my chest pumped out, and I thought I had made it, and my dad was like, "No, man, we seen this movie before," you know what I mean? And he really like kind of shot me down, and I was really like, "Damn, I'm not there yet." And I never went back to him again, I just let the time, I let the time pass, and when I had made it, then he came to me, and was like, "Man, I see you, you doing it, but I never rushed back into him and tried to like impress. I just waited, I just kept my head down and worked until it was evident that I was on the right path,
So what's one thing about recovery nobody warns you about before you start?
That it's easier. Living in recovery is easier than living in addiction. I tell you that. Living in recovery is so much easier than living in addiction. I was addicted to opioids, so that was a physical sickness.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that substance, I was physically sick.
Mm-hmm.
Every bone in my body hurt. I couldn't get up and prepare my children for school because I was in too much pain. I got to figure out how to get some money and how to get this substance.
Mm-hmm.
All of those different things and all of this plotting and scheming.
Did they see you go through it?
Who? My children?
The kids.
My oldest daughter did. My oldest daughter did. And I thought I had did the best thing by allowing her at 6 to go and live with her father. Mm-hmm. She did that for about 5 years. But what came from that, because I had 2 younger children,
mm-hmm.
was that she felt a sense of abandonment.
Mm-hmm.
She asked, "You have them, why didn't you keep me?" I thought I was doing the best thing because I was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally struggling. And she and I had to work through that, through counseling. And we still work through that, because I love my children.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of my parents helping me, I've been a single mother all my life.
Yeah.
So I'm blessed to have such great and wonderful parents and such a supportive family.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something that they don't tell you is that this the secret benefits of sobriety. The things that you don't. You're just trying to get your car back and your job back and your house back. And one of the greatest things that I didn't realize that was going to come with sobriety was just being there. Just being available for your family. Being, somebody is definitely going to pass away. Mm-hmm. Somebody is going to need you to just go pick somebody up from the airport.
Yeah.
And we can get in touch with Byron.
Mm-hmm.
We know his number's good. My mom used to tell me, she used to write my phone number in pencil, because of all of the moves I was making and moving from side to side of town, getting put out of this and that, and just my instability. And so, when I was needed, when my dad got sick in 2017, they just called me and said, "Byron, we need you to come," and I had a job that, I had been working, and they gave me time to go. But I didn't think about all of that when I was just trying to get stuff back, that availability is just, it's just a super blessing. And I also know where my car is and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's not, they're not coming to take my stuff. You know what I mean? Like they always were, back when we were out there.
They're not coming to take my stuff, or I'm not trying to sell my stuff.
Wait a minute. I never did that, though. No, I'm just
Hey, we're going to come right back. We're going to come right back on the Grapevine with Tahira and Byron. We're going to dig into some passion, the passion around Simone's house and the Phoenix when we come back into.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on where you purchase insurance.
101, the award-winning 101.7 The Truth Radio. And we're talking to Tahira Mollick of Simone's house and Byron Thompson of the Phoenix. And it's interesting because, like, whenever I interview people and we take our headphones off and we're from the mic, like, that's when all the stories happen. We should have I should have a segment called After the Mic because there's so many interesting, like, gems that happen in between these periods of time. So PBS, they did a extra special story segment on you. How did that come about?
It came about because of the work that we do in harm reduction. So it's one thing to come into recovery and start rebuilding your life, but then we talk about that community support, that community collection type of wanting to give back to the same community that you once tore down. Yeah. And that's where harm reduction came into play. So Simone's House began an ambassadorship program for our women that successfully completed 120 days with us, but then stayed active within that following 6 months. They became ambassadors for us. And an ambassador goes out into the community. And when we started it, this is when we had some really high drug overdose rates. I'm talking about in 2022, over 674 deaths right here in Milwaukee County.
And that was just after the pandemic, or
right after the pandemic.
Pandemic was just
a surge,
phasing out. Yeah.
It was a surge because people were feeling that isolation. You know, I'll tell you this.
And they were at home, so you're at home. So what are you going to do?
You're at home.
Yeah.
And you're restricted to your home.
Yeah.
And you are alone. See, I was blessed because my parents lived next door to me.
Yeah.
And my sisters lived upstairs from them, and I was next door. And so our whole family was together. We had our own compound.
Yeah.
So we could come outside and talk to each other, right? But imagine the people who don't have that.
Yep.
That isolation. And then you're all already dealing with mental health issues, right? Mm-hmm. So that compounded with substance use kind of sent people spiraling. Mm-hmm. But not only that, there was the fentanyl being put into, the drug supply. Historically, African Americans, especially African American males, are stimulant users.
Yeah.
Crack cocaine, powder cocaine. Those are the substances that our community really consume if they're in substance, right? So imagine putting an opioid on that. That's causing heart attacks because that's a speedball effect. You put an opioid on a stimulant, and their body had never had a stimulant. So that caused a surge. And so our ambassadors went into the community to educate and then also to provide naloxone, right? Also to provide fentanyl testing strips and seeing how to use those items so that you could save a life, so that you could live another day. And due to all of our harm reduction efforts that we have done over the years, PBS, Storied Production in particular, and they're out of San Francisco, the Bay Area, wanted to do a segment because she had lost her brother who was struggling with opioid use. She had lost her brother to addiction.
Yeah.
And she wanted to do a story on someone else who had a similar background, and just to tell my story. And so we spoke, and that project took a couple years to come out. But it was deeply personal because it wasn't just me; it was my daughter.
Yeah.
It was to talk. It was helping my daughter talk through what she felt. It's one thing to be in addiction as an adult,
Yeah.
but it's a different component when your daughter is experiencing that, and being able to allow her to have the voice of what she felt dealing with a mother in addiction, and how we could better communicate, and how we could also address those abandonment issues that she felt from me due to that.
You know, when you think about like these video series, people put a spotlight on you, and you go through like these moments, these ebbs and flows of your life, and you play it on screen, and then you see the rock bottom. It comes through the screen, but it also comes from your mouth. How did your soul like take that?
So, as we were doing it, they wanted to see, oh my God, this infamous mugshot. Oh my God. And for me, that was deeply personal. Now, I can talk to you all day about me living in addiction, and I can introduce my daughter to be able to speak to her experiences. But when you actually see the depths of what substance use can do to a person, that's a whole different level, right?
Yeah.
But not only to be able to see that, but then to be able to see the bounce back. Society gives up on people with substance addiction or mental health issue. They give up. They see you on the corner. They see you begging, and it's but they don't ever see the true potential of who that person could be or was.
Yep.
And I was one of those people, right? I was one of those forgotten people. No one knew the potential of what that forgotten person could really add. But see, that was the trial I needed to go through in order to come out of that fire, to be able to help. You have to be able to have that compassion, that empathy, to be able to relate to someone who may be at the stage that you once were.
Yeah, that was a super. That movie Coming Home about you that they did was amazing, and it was a short. Not a full length movie. It was a short, and in that, however many short minutes there was, it was just so powerful. And the most powerful part is when you shared the mugshot, because you were 365 degrees different from that person that was in that mugshot, and it was so powerful. And for those other women to see that and just see, like, look at this person here, and like, it was shocking, and it was powerful. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Do you think generational trauma trains us to grab relief wherever we can, like wherever we can find it the fastest, even when we know that it may cost us later?
Yes, we do, and it don't really stop when you get sober. You know what I mean? Because you start reaching for something else. You know what I mean? You can. So you really got to check all of that because of your addictive behavior, or that need for that fast relief. Just, I need relief, and that instant gratification. You can find it in your diet, or in your sex relations, or whatever. But you'll be like, hey, but but I ain't had a drink in 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I ain't had a drink in 5 years, but I'm out here tearing up the world. So you really have to, within yourself find that, this is your triggers and what makes you you. And it does run in families, and not my parents or anything like that, but cousins and uncles and stuff like that. I saw it firsthand, and definitely had a couple of brothers that was in that life, and
even like noticing, even having a family member, in that space, and you knowing that they're in that space, and then you wind up there, you're like, oh, this is familiar. Oh, I know, this person over here was a part of this life. But, now I'm here, and you're kind of sharing this kind of trauma bond, right?
Trauma bond for sure. But I think a lot of times when we think of generational curses, if you're a hardhead like me,
that
doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that is not going to apply to me.
Right.
For me, I felt like I was missing out on something because my parents were so strict. I could see family members and cousins, and they get to party, and they get to, it seems like they're having so much fun. And I'm like, well, I want that, right? And then you get grown and you go to college. And now you can experience these things, right? Because you don't have your parents breathing down your neck.
Right.
That's one element. But then it can get out of control. So I went to college and I experienced the partying. But by the grace of God, I didn't fall into addiction then, right? I fell into addiction. I had the car accident after I had my first child. But the true essence, and this is, I had such, and I hope he doesn't mind that I share, but I had such a pivotal conversation with my oldest daughter's father more recently. Because he's not the film festival type guy. But I knew that the movie was coming to the Milwaukee Film Festival.
Yeah.
And I said to him, well, I'm going to let you know, the PBS documentary is coming out, and it's going to the Milwaukee Film Festival. And I want you to know that there's a segment I have in there about you. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, about addiction, my addiction. And he said, well, your addiction came because you got a car accident. And I said, yeah, you're right, the pain. I said, but I ended up liking the effects of those Percocet pills because you left me alone all the time. I was lonely. I was in love. We talk about what we saw from our parents, those 55 years of marriage.
Yeah.
I was raised that a man comes home to his wife every night. She cooks dinner, they have dinner, and they retire for the night.
Yeah.
But he was a night person. So I didn't know how to understand that. That was my first relationship. I didn't know anything about the nightlife.
You were used to your mom being at home by 4 p.m. Like, she's all right, I'm back at home, or 2 p.m. or home all the time.
I'm telling you, my mother cooked breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yep.
And we sat down for dinner every day as a family.
Yep.
And we were in the bed by 7. My parents were in the bed by 9, right? I didn't understand that a man goes out and stay out all night. I didn't understand any of that. That wasn't my background.
Hey, y'all, we're going to come back with this brand new territory.
Of supporters like you. Thank you.
Man, that beat make you just frown up and then get happy all at the same time. Welcome back to the Grapevine, and we are in the building with Tahira Mollick and Byron Thompson, and we're talking sober living. So let's talk numbers for a second. Because Milwaukee needs to hear this clearly. Black residents, and I looked something up, Black residents in Milwaukee County are dying from overdoses at nearly double the rate of white residents, and
a little over double.
Little over double. And despite similar usage rates, when you first saw that number, when you first laid eyes on that number, what went through your mind?
We have to educate and take care of our people so they understand. See, in our communities, we talk a different language.
Yeah.
You know, there's a different language
Yeah.
that you speak when you're speaking to a funder.
Yeah.
There's a different language that you speak when you're in a meeting.
Yeah.
But then there's also a different language you have to speak when you're in your community.
Yeah.
So that they understand the detriment of what is happening, right? What did they say? What did we learn? You have to always be. No, I can't think of the word. So I digress. But for me, it's always to see how many lives we can educate and save. Knowing, a lot of people, when you're out there in the community, they want to say, oh, I don't have a problem. Even though you may think they have a problem. Oh, I don't have a problem. So then you change the strategy and say, you know what? It's not for you. You may happen to see someone who's overdosing. And
just
you can
that,
save their life.
And just that saying that you don't have a problem may also mean that you have a problem. And it may be bigger than what the problem is. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think people told me I had a problem a lot before I listened and learned that I did have a problem. You know what I mean? People were just maybe not telling me directly, but telling me in their actions, maybe disassociating with me. You know what I mean? That circle was getting real small. By the time I got, rock bottom, it's like nobody want to mess with me no more, So I only mess with the people who were like doing what I was doing,
Yeah.
What happened to the friends? What happened to, nobody want to see you coming and stuff like that. And I mean, I think recovery is about admitting that you have a problem, and sometimes you got to go, unfortunately, you got to really go low. You got to really hit that bottom.
Yeah.
Before you say, oh, okay. And then everybody's like, yeah, we told you, we were trying to let you know that. But sometimes you're the last to know, and
how many
Let me
go
also
ahead.
jump in on that. And it may be because you don't want that stigma. You don't want your family. You know that they're looking at you a certain way, but it's that stigma that's associated to being in addiction.
Yeah.
Right.
It's that stigma that you're trying to outrun. Like, no, I don't have a problem, although every sign is showing that you have a problem.
Yeah.
No, I'm just tired, right?
Yeah, I just need a new address. I just need a new job. I just need a new haircut. I just need a new shirt.
Ain't nobody giving me a chance.
Oh man, what? So, I guess this is maybe an ambiguous question, but probably needs to be answered and solved. I know there are a lot of addictions, and addiction can come in many different forms. So, you're not just talking drug addiction. Also, there are a lot of addictions out here.
I discovered that I'm an emotional eater.
Yeah.
If I'm driving and I hate highway driving, I might snack on some popcorn. I have to eat something when I'm highly stressed. And that's an addiction but I recognize it. So then I have to just figure out how to walk that stuff off.
Yeah.
That's sugar.
Sugar.
Yep.
Yeah, I met you in a health space, and I really thought, man, I wish I could be like this guy. You know what I mean? Because
that was drilled into my brain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Day one.
Yeah.
Day one.
Because I mean that's all part of our community, our history, our sugar, our fried food, our health, our food.
Yeah.
And then put some alcohol and some other stuff on top of that, man. It's really, we got a lot to work on. So I really feel like, man, I'm just starting to really tackle the other, addictions. I mean, it's like, hey, look, I got 5 years clean, but I'm growing. My body is growing out here because I'm eating more sweets than you can tell the person at the AA meeting who got 5 years because they big as a house. You know what I mean? 'Cause they didn't rediscovered food. You know what I mean? They might have came in at 90 pounds.
So why is that though?
That obsessive compulsive disorder. It's an obsessive
But you're
compulsive
switching
disorder.
from one
You're
thing to the
switching.
next.
Yes, yes.
Mhm. As long as I'm not doing this.
As long as I'm not doing that, and so.
But that's what you realize. Like, I realize that I am an obsessive compulsive person.
Yeah.
I cannot just do one of anything.
Yeah.
I can't just do one of anything. And so I just don't start. But I've kind of switched it because now I work too much. Like, I have to learn how to turn off work.
Yeah.
And that's an addiction in itself.
Yep.
Because if I'm starting my day at 6:30 and I'm still going at 8 o'clock, that's not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm not consuming drugs or alcohol, but the way I handle stress is by going into work.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. All of these addictions, you have to be careful. I mean, I think you have to apply the same principles to whatever got you, sober, your discipline, your, being around it. Hey, you know what I mean? You hang around people that probably don't eat what you should be. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
you got to change. Like I said, you got to change. I'm telling you, I was in a basketball tournament recently, and I can play ball.
Yeah.
And we were all getting ready for the tournament and all that. And then when we got there, I ended up rooming with some people who actually kind of played a little at a higher level than I did professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it was kind of boring, man, because they was eating oatmeal and they was drinking a ton of water. And I was, I was getting my coffee and I was sneaking out getting donuts and stuff. You understand? But being around them for a week,
Yeah.
enhanced my, I had a great tournament. I had a great, experience because I was hanging around some healthier people.
Right.
And they was, passing around magnesium pills to help you for cramping. And we was drinking extra. I was peeing so much. You understand? So it works in all aspects.
Yeah.
People that you are with,
Yep.
your associations, all that works in any addiction that you may have.
When coming back to Milwaukee from Florida, I recognized that the level of addiction that I've seen in people that I once confabbed with over a long period of time, it grew not just in the space of drugs, but it grew in many different forms of their life. And that was the reason why I asked that question, was because how large this thing has grown, especially coming out of the pandemic.
It's just the stressors of life.
Mm.
People are trying to find ways just to cope with life.
Yeah.
And some of those things aren't the healthiest ways. You're just trying to learn how to cope with life. And I will agree with Byron. And it goes back to what your parents taught you. Be careful of who you befriend.
Yeah.
You don't want to be around someone who don't have the best values because they may bring you down.
Yep. Hey, y'all, when we come back, we're going to get our last closing remarks from Welcome back to hour number 3, and we got a little bit more time with Tahira Mollick of Simone's House and Byron Thompson of the Phoenix. And I'm glad everybody is here because this is the Grapevine, and we're on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth Radio, the award-winning. That's true. And I had a few questions, but I'm very interested in the Sober Fest. Tell me about the Sober Fest. What's going on? August. Am I right?
Yeah, Saturday, August 1st at Pier Marquette Park.
We're going to say that again. Saturday. You know how I do it, y'all. Saturday, August
1st, Pier Marquette Park, right downtown here on 3rd Street.
Yeah.
4 p.m. to 9. Come out. You're going to get a free meal. You're going to get a free soft drink or mocktail. And you're going to get some live entertainment, music, games, every sober resource in the community. You don't have to be, a person in recovery to come down and enjoy the festivities. But this will be in the city of festivals, this will be a festival that you walk into and you won't smell no weed.
Hey, look, I'm going to say this. When I went to, I think I passed through the Soberfest once or twice. And one thing I recognized and that I liked was that. And it was no alcohol. I don't drink. I don't smoke. And it was like, okay, this is something I could take my daughter to and just enjoy people being who they are. Straight up centered individuals, not an extreme on either side, depressed and or, too high.
When you think about, hey, listen, I don't have anything against, people who go out responsibly and indulge and stuff. But, a lot of the, those things that we keep hearing the headlines about, on different avenues of town, partying and fights and shooting. I mean, a lot of that stuff is fueled by people being overserved,
Yeah.
And so you don't
or
hear
they overserve themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Or underage, or just I know, just as a person who came from that, I know that I'm different. Things escalate faster when we're consuming substances and stuff like that, and so you don't hear a lot about Soberfest because we never have no incident like that down there.
And you mentioned something really, really powerful. You don't have to have an addiction to be there. It's just you just show up. And what I learned is what we just talked about is that yes, there's addictions of many forms, and some people hide them, and some people have them, right above the table. But if you're in that space, that's a place where you can learn that there's other people that have many forms of addiction, but then also how to deal with your addiction and also address it. Am I right?
Yeah, and with Soberfest, you're learning how to have fun again in a sober state of mind. The only requirement is 48 hours of sobriety when you're going to attend a Phoenix event, right?
Yeah, and that is just so we don't want, if you come and play basketball with us at the church on Saturday, we don't want you to be getting up out of a smoke-filled car because you're going to smell like weed. That's going to trigger something. So we don't know how many hours you've been sober, but we say 48 hours because that way when you come in, you're not going to be
something be filtered through your system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and it's so important to show the recovery community how to have fun. I know when I was new into recovery and I was rebuilding my life, when I got my first paycheck, I had a meltdown. I didn't know what to do. My bills were paid. My children were fed. There was clothes. And I have extra money. That never happens when you're in addiction. And I had a meltdown, and I had to figure out, what am I supposed to do with this money? So to be able to provide that education, that awareness, and how to have fun. I remember years back, I had took the women of my home to a Bucks game. And one of my residents said, I've never been to the Pfizer Forum sober. And we really had to decompress from that experience alone. And from that, I learned that we have to show people what it looks like to have fun in a sober state of mind and how much fun that could be.
Milwaukee is a very interesting place because we call ourselves the Brew City. And we have liquor stores and
beer gardens
all over the city. And we quite possibly at one point probably had per capita the most amount of beer or taverns in the nation at one point in Milwaukee's history. How do we recover from that?
I say just go ahead and go to the beer garden and get you a non-alcoholic beer. It's 0.0. Have some conversation with your people.
0.0.
I'm gonna tell you, I didn't know anything about mocktails until I started hanging out with the Phoenix, and I'm like, oh my God, this is great, a mocktail.
You can still go, but you ain't gonna shut it down. I always tell people when you're in recovery, you can go anywhere. You can go to Summerfest. You can go anywhere but you ain't got no business shutting none of them down. You just go in there and have your stuff, listen to your music, listen to your band, and get on up out of there. And so, that's what the Phoenix is about. It's not the end of life; it's the beginning. It's the beginning of new life. Just do it differently.
If you're a family member, and this is to our audience, if you're a family member, and this is also a question, and you know someone that is struggling, they're struggling bad. What's the next step?
Here's the thing, Manon. You can only help someone who's willing and ready for that help, right? You can always call. You can always call somebody's house, and we're always going to be a listening ear.
No straitjackets. No straitjackets.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not, because if you come to, and I'm kind of old school, so if you come too hard, you're going to run someone away, right?
Yeah.
And if you say, I know you're using, you know they're using. But your approach is everything.
Yeah.
That approach can either bring someone into recovery or it could push them further into addiction.
Yeah.
So you always have to be mindful on how you're handling everybody. It takes nothing to be kind. It takes nothing to have empathy. We have to learn to live in those principles of love and treat everyone with love, because you don't know if you're walking, because you're trying to judge someone, you don't know if that person may be the next Tahira Mollick. You don't know what their capacity is, and how you deal with them is what makes the difference.
The French version of Mollick. Somebody on the chat, LaRon Taylor 97.6 says, I went to my first sober Milwaukee Brewers game a month ago. The best thing was I remember everything about being there. That's deep. That almost brings tears to my eyes, because there's so many people that are dealing with the non-sober life. Yeah. When they really touch themselves after so long, and in being in that sober life, they're like, this is a brand new world. Yeah. This world is like, having that mint, and take a piece of mint and you put it in your mouth, you're like, and you're like, oh man, like it goes straight from your brain to your toes.
But let me tell you something.
I love it. Go ahead.
We have the most supportive recovery community around. Everyone that Samad's house have come in encounter with have been so genuine and compassionate, and we all look out for each other. And that's a true testament to who we are,
Yeah. And my man who went to the game, you don't have to do that alone. You don't have to do that alone.
Yeah.
You can, there's a community to go with you.
Yeah.
I remember I went to my first sober basketball game. It was a Marquette game, man, and I'll never forget. I made one of my guys that was also in recovery go with me, because I had never been in the Bradley Center, sober, and we was up in there, and people were passing drinks over our heads and whatnot, so we were just kind of like,
were
man,
you like this?
And I just remember saying,
a wooden cross for you.
Yeah.
No, don't do it.
I remember saying, man, I don't even know if I like basketball. That game wasn't even that exciting. So I had to relearn how to like basketball and concerts and all that. You know what I'm saying? Because it was so foreign. But the key to that whole thing is bringing somebody along with you and having somebody with you to go. So we laugh about that now, because we done been to 25 years of basketball games and funerals and weddings and stuff like that without drinking. But that first time, we always remember, like, man, do I even like basketball? This ain't fun, you know?
Yeah.
So let me ask a question, and this is to Byron, because Byron has started the largest sober tailgate for the baseball game. He did that last year. And then he had the largest sober tailgate for the Bucks game. So talk to us a little bit about what prompted you to do that.
I want to make it attractive. You know what I mean? Like, why be sober if it don't look good, if it's not fun? You know what I mean? Your life is supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah.
And I just want you to still be able to, you know, look forward to Friday, looking forward to the new season coming up, and so I just think I always want to make sobriety just look cool, because something about us, as where we come from, you want to be cool, you want to be with the crowd, you know. But there's just a different crowd, you know, and a positive crowd and we make it look fun. That's all that's about.
Hey, we've run out of time.
Wait a minute.
And this, but I want you guys back, because there's some other things that are happening in this community that need to be addressed, and also if you would bring someone who is, you know, in your tutelage that you could that we can highlight.
Absolutely.
And so I want to make sure that we have a full crew and people can really understand how important recovery and sober living, how important sober living and recovery is. This is an important conversation. Where can people find you at Tahira Mollick, French version?
SamadsHouse.org is our website. Mm-hmm. On our website, we have a contact sheet. So if there's any questions you have, or even if you just want to volunteer or donate, please go to www.samadshouse.org. Mm-hmm. And Manon, again, I want to thank you for inviting me on the show. It's been a pleasure.
You're my favorite. Yeah, y'all want to know how important Tahira is in my life. We'll talk about that.
It's a whole nother show.
When the mics come off.
And Byron, where can we find you and the Phoenix at?
I'm very active on Facebook. So the Phoenix Milwaukee. Look that up on Facebook. If you're not on there, go to our website, thephoenix.org. But I mean, you'll find all our events and everything that we're about at thephoenix.org. You can also donate there if you want to, help us fund any of our, big things like Soberfest and stuff like that. Right there at thephoenix.org. And I just want to say we have an app, and it's called New Form. That's where you'll find our daily activities that are free all over the country. And if you put New Form on your phone, you can travel anywhere in the country and find a free Phoenix event.
I want to appreciate you. I want to
take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Welcome back to the Grapevine on the award-winning 101.7 The Truth Radio. And I want to congratulate you all for making it through that interview with us. That was fantastic, man. That was a real dope interview with Tahira Mollick and also Byron Thompson of the Phoenix Recovery, and Tahira Mollick of Samad's House. I learned a lot because I'm always thinking about addictions in many different forms. And one thing I do recognize is that there are addictions outside of its relationship with drugs, the physical drugs. There are many different drugs that we can be addicted to. very, very interesting conversation. Now, I want people to realize that you are welcome to call in and give us your testimony, give us your love, or even tell us what your if you want any more information. We are more than happy to help you get that information to you and or your loved ones. This is highly important. You can also reach out. This is, again, reach out to Samad's house and or the Phoenix, or both of them, to find out about their programs. You can also go to Pier Marquette Park August 1st. That's Saturday, August 1st. That's 900 North Plankington. It's going to be live food, live music, food, bunch of community. It's a sober living fest. You're gonna have a pretty good time, with nothing but just fun. So we're gonna shift gears right now, and we're gonna talk about on this next hour, Nolan Wells, and I know his death has been the topic of many different platforms. So Nolan Wells was a wide receiver, 18 years old, at Southwest Mississippi Community College. He was a graduate of Ocean Springs High School. He went out on a boat trip with his friends, Horn Island, Mississippi, on the 4th of July. So by the nighttime, he turned up missing, and his mother basically called the missing persons report in. And 2 days later, a park ranger found a body matching his description, and his mother, Christine, confirmed his body. And so that's what we know. So everybody who knew him is saying the same thing. A humble, hardworking kid, just like regular old kid, 18 years old, teammate, coach, teammate on a football team. And, he just was who he was supposed to be, somebody's son, somebody's friend, somebody's cousin, just regular old kid. And now here's where it gets complicated. I want to be responsible with this part too. Wells was with a group of friends on a boat. I think he was seen partying at on the shore, but also arguing with some of the boys on shore before they got on the boat. So and there's been a few videos of him having them having this particular argument. Could have been a loud, misunderstanding, whatever. But it was those all white friends that eventually reported him missing. So what all of this is alleged, nothing major has been found in terms of any confirmation by an investigator of foul play. So no cause of death has been announced. The public reaction has been loud. People have been talking about it. Like, for real. People have been really, really talking about it. And for black people, it's been racially charged. It's also brought up a pattern of slow response, a pattern of what feels careful in a way is not really careful, or too slow, and it's been too slow, and it's making people ask questions more and more, because this is going really, really slow, even in its first phases. So I'm just going to sit. I want to sit this here because to tell you what happened on the island, we don't know. Nobody really knows what happened on the island. Nobody knows what happened on the water. But there is a pattern recognition that we all have to remember. And Milwaukee, we're not we're not immune to it. It has happened in Milwaukee, but let's go back to 1955. Emmett Till, murdered in Mississippi. His body was pulled from a river, and 71 years later, we're still having versions of this same exact thing. Like his mom had an open casket. And because she wanted the world to remember what racism is, what it was like then and what it is now. More recent, Kendrick Johnson, who 17 years old, found dead inside of a rolled up wrestling gym mat at his Georgia high school in 2013. Everybody remembers that. People ruled it a freak accident. He rolled himself up. This is a freak accident, right? So he rolled himself up in a gym wrestling mat. And his family found blunt force trauma from a second autopsy. And now they're still looking for people or the persons who are responsible for this crime. A $500,000 reward is on the table. And then there's Jelani Day. Jelani Day, 25 years old, a graduate student in Illinois State University. He was studying to become a doctor. I think he was in med school. And he went missing in 2021. He's found dead in the Illinois River 11 days later. The coroner ruled it a drowning, but they couldn't say how he ended up in the water in the first place. So his mother has said flat out she didn't believe her son, who was an avid swimmer with no history of depression, just wandered into the river and drowned by himself. She pointed it out. Jesse Jackson pointed out, like, the math ain't mathing. And that's a problem that you can track story after story after story. When I say the instinct to ask hard questions about Nolan Wells' urn, this is what I mean. Emmett Till, Kendrick Johnson, Jelani Day, and now a young boy by the name of Nolan Wells, even in Wisconsin, Brookfield, a guy who is walking down the street, winds up hung in a tree. Different decades, different states, different circumstances, but the same exhausting questions are popping out of all of these stories. When will these families
with in the city that we've done work with?
Beyond real estate, Jenkins wants to push into sports.
Sports is something we know very well. So even if it's adjacent to sports, we've been into franchising. We do foods and things that we know are going to be a part of the sport experience.
Jenkins won a Super Bowl with the New Orleans Saints back in 2010 and another as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles in 2017. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
God don't like ugly, I ain't one to judge. Whole lot of gold Cubans with a ton. Say I kept it solid when it's all said and done. All I know is keep going, run, work and run. Mama told me never fold, run, work and run.
Mama told me never fold, run. I was just listening to this song, and the interesting thing about the beginning of this song, this is by Killer Mike, y'all, and he had Dave Chappelle on here. And Dave Chappelle has a lot of very interesting quips that are related to history, and also he infuses comedy in those quips, and some of his comedy shows. And before he gets on this song called Run with Killer Mike, and whether or not you listen to hip hop or not, it's a very interesting song to listen to, whether you are, 10 or 100, because knowledge can come from many different forms and formats. And before the song comes on, in the introduction, Dave Chappelle says that being black in America is like, storming the beach of Normandy. And he says that no matter, basically, and I'm taking this out of context, but he says no matter what you do, when you see all the people falling around you, you only have one thing left to do, and that is to keep running. As long as you keep your feet in front, underneath you, you're going to make it. And the people that are watching you go through your struggle, the people that really watch you and the people that have their eye on you, they have your back. This is quote unquote. They have your back like the MF and Verizon man. And it's such a quote. And it's very much a part of a call to action. And we're going to talk about that call to action later on. But I'm going to switch subjects just a little bit, but we're still on theme. And let's talk about a different type of story, different kind of story, but outside of Nolan Wells. I want to get back to Nolan Wells throughout the week because that story reminds me of how my father had always told me as a kid that, and he always told me as a kid, you have to be careful about who you are rolling with. You can't just roll with anybody. And especially in America, when we have such a history with racism and people having diabolical schemes against black folks, you have to understand the nature of the beast. And we're going to talk about that later on because we're running out of time. Big Tigger under the microscope. Big Tigger under the microscope. Now, longtime Atlanta radio personality, BET Rap City personality, is in the middle of and I don't know if this is real or not, but it seemed real. And he's in the middle of a domestic violence video. I don't know
that
if
video was definitely really real. I saw
that was real.
Video.
Okay, that was super real.
Yeah, at first I didn't know who you were talking about, but
Yeah.
after you said that like there was a video involved, it makes sense because I saw somebody else post about it, like somebody that I know trying to like quote unquote maybe stick up for him is how you
Right.
could infer that the post went because of the pictures that was posted along with it. And then I kept scrolling, and then like 2 scrolls later, I literally saw the video of what people are talking about.
And it's
Yeah,
2
it doesn't look
videos
good.
too. Yeah, it's 2 videos. It was one video it was a black and white Ring camera video, or indoor house camera video. And it was like them going back and forth or whatever in one part of the house, and then the other part of the house, like there's an actual video of, this lady talking about, she's screaming, his wife screaming, like, she has his phone. He's like, hey, give me my phone back. And, it's just an altercation. She's like, nah, and then somebody else that's holding the phone is like, Mr. Tigger, Mr. Tigger. It's not funny. But why are you calling him Mr. Tigger? I mean, he has a real name? I mean, it's like, his same name got to be something like Angelo. He might be, his name might be Tigger. Like, for real. I mean, I've heard a lot of names. So I don't know his real name, but she was calling him Mr. Tigger, and his wife fell on the floor, and, he's trying to tell the lady who's videotaping, like, hey, I just want my phone back. She has my phone. I'm not on top of her. Just give me my phone. And it's gone pretty viral, especially in the black community. But here's my question, Milwaukee, and I want you to really sit with this. Is like, when it's a black man we grew up admiring, somebody with a mic and a platform, accused of hurting a black woman behind closed doors, how quick are we as a community to give him the benefit of the doubt versus how quick we were just a minute ago to demand the benefit of the doubt for Nolan Wells? So stay with me. I'm not saying Big Tigger's guilty, because there's it's probably a case going on or not. I don't know. But it's a video out there. And everybody deserves a real process before judging. Like, whatever it is, a due process, a real process meaning you got to weigh both sides of the story. What I'm saying is we need to check our own consistency. So if we want the world to slow down, gather facts and not rush to convict a young black man in the court of public opinion, we owe that same fairness to a black woman who says she was hurt. So instead of automatically protecting the man because he's famous and because he's one of ours, because we like his radio show, I want to say, I think there's something else that matters here. Big Tigger is genuinely beloved. Decades on Atlanta radio, decades on BET, a voice a lot of us grew up with in our households. That kind of love complicates how people process this, and it cuts in two different directions at once. Some folks are ready to defend him no matter what, and they're refusing to even entertain the allegations. And other folks flip the second a headline drops and cast him instantly as the villain. Case closed. It's no due process in their brain, no due process. Just because the accusation exists, both reactions skip the actual work of finding out what's true. But here's what I think gets lost in all of it is this is happening to a black family in front of the entire world. And I think it's our own kind of affront, right? That we don't talk about enough. A black marriage, whatever's happening inside of it, is now a huge headline. It's a TMZ story. It's an IG story. It's a Facebook story. It's a Meta story. I mean, it's an X story. It's a TikTok reaction video story. It's just all over the place. And not just Tigger's business getting exposed. That's a black family's most painful private moment turned into public content for strangers to just feed through their minds over and over and over again, for us to have something else to talk about. And I don't think that serves anybody, guilty or not. So let me add a layer to this, because accountability in a marriage runs both directions. And I don't think we talk about this enough. If reports end up confirming that phones were being gone through without permission in that house, I want to be real clear, that's his own issue. Separate from like whatever physical altercation is alleged. And depending on the state, depending on the situation, going into the spouse's phone without their consent can actually carry some real legal consequences. Like real legal consequences. Did you know this, Zach? Man, very legal. And like as recently as last year, they passed a number of laws. In some places, it carries a misdemeanor on your, like going through your spouse's phone carries a misdemeanor if they want to carry the charge. And in some places, it can rise as far as a felony. This is real. This is not just about Big Tigger. This is not just about Nolan Wells. This is the public's perception of what's going on in the black community, in the black family. Two different sides of two different situations, two different.
To watch the read alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home, visit rallytoread.org today.
Rally to read! What you need? What you need? I got what you need. What you need? What you need? What you need? I got what you need.
Hello. Welcome to the Grapevine. I'm Manon Sabir. Oh man. Man, thank you guys for listening, man. This is fantastic. I love this station. You're on the award-winning Truth Radio 101.7, and I'm talking about going through people's phones. Big Tigger, Nolan Wells. All of this is a part of black families going through things, difficult moments in the public light, public eye that we have instant access to. This is very, very interesting, a very interesting period of time where I feel like families need some level of protection and privacy, and where we are used to exposing families, especially black families, in such a twisted way that we're receiving and getting instant gratification from, and it's becoming an addiction. It's becoming an addiction from seeing families destroy their lives in real time. And I can go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, and they're probably putting this on, people are probably betting on this. Yeah, like this is a whole economics behind destroying and talking about the black family. We know that it's happened. Look at the 80s and how crack came in and took our families by storm. Look at what happened. The 70s, same exact thing. The 60s, same exact thing. Through different eras, we had error. Through different eras, we had errors. And we've went headlong in some ways in participating. Some people have participated in some of those errors. So in this case with Big Tigger, I'm talking about, I left off talking about the phone and how it's not confirmed. We don't know whether or not she went through his phone. That's not the case. So don't get the words twisted. But as a general principle, Big Tigger, he's the head of that household. And this is something that I want to, we all need to realize and recognize that, okay, pretty much I think that's his house. And his actions reflect on the whole family. But a wife in that particular situation, and I'm pretty sure they probably been together for a long time, has responsibilities in that marriage too, including respecting boundaries around privacy. And she also has to protect herself legally too if she's the one crossing the line. So I want to be crystal clear on one thing. Nobody twist my words. Even if it turns out that there was a privacy violation, a phone had gone through without permission, that does not excuse or justify. Now listen, it does not excuse or justify an alleged physical altercation, like at all. Those are two completely separate accountability conversations. You can hold a spouse responsible for violating trust and privacy in a marriage and still hold the other spouse fully responsible if they put their hands on somebody in the family. So one doesn't cancel out the other, and I don't want anybody hearing this segment and thinking I just gave anybody a pass for anything. There's no pass for that. But people who are leading a family have to lead in a way in which their actions are reflected inside of the family. And all of us, everybody, makes mistakes. And you'll see it ripple through the family. It happens. This is the nature of living in a family. This is what happens. And some are less severe, some are even, egregious and more severe. And we have to deal with that. So here's how I'm gonna tie these two stories together. So I wanted to say plainly that with Nolan Wells, our community's instinct is to protect, and we want answers. We want the investigation. To be taken seriously. We don't want a black man's death written off as just an accident. Come on. It's not an accident. We know it's not an accident. We know if it's like saying if Nolan Wells' death was an accident, then Emmett Till's death was an accident. No, it's not an accident. Then slavery was an accident. No, it's not an accident. It's all a part of the same game. So your instinct is right. No, it wasn't an accident. That instinct comes from definitely history. Like when people start questioning, especially black people in this particular era, start questioning that, then it becomes a part of our dramatic and traumatic generational history. So that same energy, the same demand for real accountability, real scrutiny, no early dismissals has to apply inside our community too, not just when the threat comes from outside. We got to apply that similar level of no early dismissals and real scrutiny when it comes to people, a black woman and or a black man, treating each other in a less becoming way. So I don't want to rush to judgment with the Nolan Wells, and we shouldn't, the Nolan Wells situation, but that's publicly, I'm saying that. But we still have to question it because it seems fishy. It smells like fish. It's a lot of fish. A young black boy on an island in Mississippi on the water, and they come back with just his phone. Yeah. And here's a piece that ties both of these families together. A black family lost its privacy for this week. The Wells family lost their son. Two different circumstances. One is pure grief, one is alleged wrongdoing. But in both cases, a black family's most painful moment has become public scrutiny and or public property. Before any of them could say anything about their own property, I think this is worth naming. It may be a headline. Whether we're victims, whether we're accused, we're sometimes whether we're just grieving. Our pain sometimes becomes public spectacle faster and more completely than it does for almost anybody else. Plain and simple. And it's sometimes even hard to do. It's hard to deal with. So Milwaukee, that's the show. We started today with Tahira Mollick, who turned her own survival into a lifeline for Milwaukee's women and families. We ended it asking ourselves a harder question. Whether we protect our own consistently or only when it's convenient. Here's what I need from you this week. Hold the same standard for everybody you claim to love. Demand justice for Nolan Wells with your whole chest. Demand accountability, like full accountability at home and with that same whole chest. There's no exceptions for platforms. No exceptions for fame. No exceptions for someone in the public light blurring the lines. That's not division. That's integrity. I want everybody to keep showing love, to keep showing faith, keep showing up for each other. This is Milwaukee. We got to do it in both directions. On the real, I love y'all. Thank you for listening.